Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we will be making a simple ottoman and rug. I'm going to be using a milk cap and a little cushion I had made in a different video. I am going to be using this to make the little ottoman that goes with Grandma's chair. So I'm using these liners for milk caps on the old milk bottles, and I will be gluing the little cushion that I made onto the top of that for the top of the ottoman. Excuse me, I can't talk today. And this little milk cap, I'm going to measure it for you, is roughly 1 3/4 inches. You can make yours bigger or smaller depending on the need you have. But I chose this size because it's going to give me a little more room in my living room, but still give Grandma a nice ottoman. I'm using some poster board, and I have cut it so that it is 1 inch in height, and I'm going to be cutting down the length so that doesn't matter. I'm also using the same fabric that I used for Grandma's chair. Now this fabric has an all over print and some of it's kind of big, but I found with that, as long as the print is so busy, it doesn't tend to matter in miniature quite so much. As you can see here, it really doesn't look all that big. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be taking the poster board and flipping the fabric over so that the right side of the fabric is down, or the good side. I will also be using some bamboo skewers on the inside of my ottoman to give it some stability. Now I'm just trying the poster board on for size, and I have some excess material and I'm going to cut it, but I think better of it and decide maybe I had really better measure around my disc. So what I'm doing is I'm just rubbing over the poster board with my fingers to get it used to wanting to bend. I don't like it when you get all the little lumps, bumps, and ripples in it when you fold any kind of cardboard type material, cardstock type, over or around something that's already round. So I'm just checking that bottle to see if it's the right size, and I'm also just kind of bending it around part of the disc to make sure that it'll be nice and smooth. Now I'm wrapping it around the bottle just to get it used to being bent. And it's not bent quite enough, so I put it back on there, wrapping it back around, and then I squeeze on it a little bit. And now it seems to want to bend really easily and no lumps or bumps. Now I'm just pulling it around just to check and see what size I need, where I need to cut this down. Now I'm just bending it again just to make sure that I have my cut in the right place. Once again, I'm laying the poster board back down on the fabric, and I will be cutting off the excess, leaving just a little bit at each end of the poster board. I've got out my tacky glue, and hey, I did open the brand new bottle. I decided on this one that I want to glue just the edge of the fabric over, trying to get it nice and even when I glue. So I'm turning it down, trying to give myself as straight of an edge as possible. And now I'm putting the poster board back on, seeing if I turned a nice straight line, and it seems pretty straight, so I'm going to go ahead and glue it. I apologize that my hands are in the way, but sometimes when you're working tiny, you don't have much choice. So now I'm just going to be lining it up along the edge of that fabric and adjusting it, making sure that the fabric is right on the edge of the poster board. That edge is going to be the bottom side of the Ottoman, and I just want it to look really nice. So then I was going to glue the side over, but decided that I probably should glue the long edge first. I think that would look better and reduce a little bit of bulk in the end. I'm turning the fabric up to make sure that everything is going to go on there right, and making sure that my other side of the glue has taken so that it won't be slipping when I do turn that side. And everything looks okay to me. I do decide at this point to take my scissors, and you'll see in a minute, I'll be trimming off. I think I'm going to glue, and then I'm like, wait, I don't need all that excess fabric on that side. So I go ahead anyway and apply my glue. And now is where I decide to take my scissors and just cut off some of that fabric, because I don't need that much on there. If you hear any background noises, somebody is mowing. So now I'm just taking and I'm just folding that over against the edge of the poster board, making sure that my fabric is at the edge of the poster board before I turn it over the edge and glue it. I don't want any wrinkles or anything in my fabric once I get that side done. And now I'm trimming off just a little bit from that edge because I realize I don't need that. I will be overlapping. And I glue it down. And I'm just explaining there that when I roll it up, I will be overlapping the edge, which, as I said, I don't. Now I would have done it a little differently, but at the time it seemed like a good thing to do. So now I'm just measuring out my bamboo skewers, and I know that my piece is 1 inch, but I want to make sure I'm once again putting the poster board that is now covered in fabric around my little disc that I'll be using, just to make sure everything is going to line up good still, that I haven't pulled too tight or anything. And I'm just fitting the bamboo skewer into the little circle, just kind of trying to size it up a little bit. So now I'm measuring out 1 inch. And I should have opened my miter shears before I started this, but I didn't. So now I'm just lining it back up again. And I'm just going to make a mark on the 1 inch, and then I'm going to go ahead and start cutting them. I realized I was a little off camera here, but I really needed to see that mark that I'd made. And I was having trouble finding it. Now it gets easier because I just put the one bamboo skewer up against the piece I just cut and snip it right off. And I will just be using 4 of those. I didn't think I really needed to use any more. I just want some stability on the sides of my ottoman. So now I'm just going to be gluing the bamboo skewers on. having a little trouble getting the glue to stick there. And I just kind of decided to go ahead and eyeball where I want these skewers to sit. You know, this was one of those things where I could have also just stuffed this with something to give it more stability and to help it keep its shape. But I didn't. Next time I definitely will. I won't be messing with the bamboo skewers. Although it did work really well, as you'll see. So now I have that all done and realize that they're not spaced very well. So I decide to move them. And right now I'm having some thoughts about, hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't have done it that way. And I was adjusting that one, still thinking this out. You know, pondering, should I just take those off and stuff it or not? But then I remembered I didn't leave a little bit of space for them to sit on top of the disc, because they will be wrapped around, it will be wrapped around the outside of the disc, and so therefore there is a little bit of height to the disc, and I forgot to allow for that. While I'm doing this, I also decide that I probably should move my skewers, because I don't want them right on that spot that's going to be overlapped. I decided that probably wouldn't be a good idea. Now I'm just checking it to make sure I cut that one at the right height. It was like cutting a fraction of an inch off. It wasn't much at all. So now I'm going to be doing that with all of them. And I am also going to be moving them down so that they're a little more evenly spaced. Live and learn, right? And of course my glue isn't sticky enough that I can just move them. They were drying nicely. So I'm just applying more glue in a different area. I'm thinking to myself that I probably now would have enough glue on there to have the glue stabilize it. Just trying to make sure that they're all nice and straight. So anyway, now that I'm done with my mistake part of this, I am going to move that aside, and I'm going to start working on the disc part. But before I do that, I'm thinking about rugs, and I had bought a whole bunch of this fiber trim, big bag of it, different types, and I was like, you know, so this is particularly long, the fibers in it. So I was sitting there debating if there was some way that you could use this in a miniature rug and then cut it down so it wouldn't be so long. But then I decided I probably would just end up with really furry hands, and probably not a good idea. So now I'm getting out my glue again, and I'm putting a generous amount around the edge of the circle, both to the inside and around the edge, because I really want my little side piece that I'm making to grip on good, and I want those little bamboo skewer pieces to adhere to the top part of the disc. So I'm just going to kind of smear it around with my fingers now, making sure I get all the surfaces I need to get. And of course it sticks to my finger. I drop it and I make a huge mess. Alright, let's clean that up. Now I'm ready to put the sides on the side. I don't know what you call that. Yeah. The outer part of the Ottoman, let's put it that way. So I'm just lining it up, making sure that I've got it pulled tightly around there, that the little skewers are on top of the disc, and making sure that it still has a nice fit to it. So I'm going to hold that for a few minutes. Just trying the top on to make sure that I don't have the bottom part of it too wide, that the top is going to fit nicely once I glue it on. So I'm just holding it. Just trying to get that glue to really stick. And I have to give it credit, it was sticking really well. And once again, trying it, I adjusted something a bit, and yep, it's going to fit just fine. I don't know why I was just smoothing out a little bit of glue on the inside there. It won't be seen. So it is holding pretty well on its own. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue down that side seam now. Remember, I turned the one edge of the fabric over the one end of the cardstock or poster board, and that's the part that's going to be to the outside. As I said before, that wasn't, I could have come up with a much better idea, and next time if I do another one, I will butt the ends up together instead of having that slight overlap. So now I'm just off holding on to the project, getting a paper clip. And I have a bunch of them, but could I find one? Not right away. I know it would be, you know, and here I come. I'm back. I found my paper clips, and I'm just going to paper clip that end together just to hold it while the glue dries. And so while I was sitting here waiting for the glue to set up, I had some other thoughts for this little Ottoman. I thought that, you know, you could make one a bigger size. My cousin had one of these, and you could make it bigger, and you could, you know, like hers had a padded seat on top, but then it was made so that you could open it, like the top came off, and then she had that for a toy box, but she also had it for a nice place to sit on. You know, if she wanted to sit down and read a book or something, you could do that. All you would have to do is attach a smaller circle inside of your top part, and then that would become a lid. It would fit down nicely inside. That would be a cool idea to do. You could do them square, rectangular, bigger, smaller, whatever you want to do. I mean, it's you know, your project. You do it your way. So I'm just checking to see the progress on here, and it is gluing. It's gluing really well. And so while I'm waiting for that to glue, I hadn't planned on making the rug today, but I started forming this idea in my head of the rug, that I'm a really, really simple rug, and so I went to gather some materials for that. Obviously I'm back. There we go. Yeah. I'm just getting some glue off my fingers because I don't want glue all over my project. And we're waiting. But I'm impatient, so yeah, I'm checking it again. Got a little more glue on my fingers because there's part of the glue that wasn't completely dry. So yeah, I'm just, yeah. It's just me being me again. So the paper clip is working really well. I thought maybe it would pop off, but it's working well. And you know, my hands are so small, but I still find them way too big for miniature. That's what all that gesturing was about. I still find them way too small for, or way too big. My fingers are too thick for a lot of the miniature projects, so that frustrates me a little. Now I'm trying the lid on to make sure that once again that in the process of gluing, I have everything right and the top is going to fit nicely. So here comes the glue because I'm impatient. I would stress letting yours dry completely. I did not. So I'm just adding the glue around the top edge of the ottoman and making sure that the glue gets down onto those little pieces of the bamboo skewer because they're going to help to hold the top on. Now I'm just going to take the top and pop it on there. Making sure that I have it even all the way around, and in this case it just comes up to the edge of the base. And the fit is very nice. Now I'm showing where I had the overlap and saying that next time I would butt the edges up instead so that I didn't have that bump. But it can go to the back toward the chair. No one will see it. Oops. And then I squeezed it just a bit. But it's really holding very, very stable. It's really working well that way. So there it is, our little footstool. Not dry. Please let yours dry. And I'm putting it into the house in front of Grandma's chair just to see how it looks, if the height is right. And I'm going to take you in there and let you see it. And there we are. I realize it's a little dark, but it's just about exactly the right size. It matches the chair, and it will give Grandma a nice place to put her feet up. So there it is. Taking it back out and just making sure that I wasn't too hasty and that my top is still gluing on firmly in the right position. And you know, you could take these, you could use little trims around the edges of them. You could make them in 2 different colors. There is so much you could do with these. You could, you know, totally customize them to match any piece of furniture or any decor in your house. And then there we go. Putting it back in again. I was just checking, like I said, checking everything to make sure everything was right and that the glue was holding, and it is. And there is the little ottoman in front of Grandma's chair, all ready for her to sit down and enjoy a good book. And I'm continually always moving it because I don't feel I have it just right. And I was way off this time. If you hear other noise out there, the city is doing some cleanup too, so. Okay, so now I'm about ready to start on the little miniature bath mat for the bathroom. And it's very simple. I mean, this is the easiest you could do. A child could do this. So what I'm using is, I had bought some of this braid trim a long time ago. It's fuzzy and it's pink, so I thought it would work fine. And I am also just using a plain piece of white felt cut to size. Now, I didn't have any pink, or I would have used that. So I've cut 2 different sizes of the braid trim because it is rectangular and I want to stagger it in kind of a brick pattern. And I start gluing and haven't quite realized I'm almost off screen. And when I put this first piece down, I'm going to put it down so that it's about halfway on my felt and halfway off because I don't want those edges to show. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. There. That's the back side where I've got it halfway on the felt, halfway off. And now I'm taking, that was the shorter piece, cut exactly to the size of the felt, and now I'm taking the longer piece and I'm just kind of fitting it in there so that I can make my staggered brickwork pattern. So there, now I've got it in the right position and I'm just gluing it down, pushing it down just to make sure that everything sticks and that it is fitting right and I don't have one piece of braid overlapping the other. So and again just gluing another of the shorter pieces on. And this is where I realize that I am slightly off camera. So I'm moving it around. I'm using a camera that I kind of have to look back over my shoulder right now to see where I'm at with the tripod and the screen. So now I've got it and I adjusted it so we're a little closer up so you can see a little more how the rug is looking as it progresses. So once again, just applying that line of glue, putting it on and getting it lined up. And you wouldn't have to do this pattern, I just chose it because I thought it would be something different and I was hoping it would look kind of cool when I was done. You know, if you're using something like a white felt, you could take like a permanent marker and just go around the edges of the felt before you start gluing your pieces of braid to your rug. And you know, you could do this with all types of braid. It doesn't have to be a fuzzy little braid like this. You could use wider braids, you could use different patterns, different textures, different types of material. You know, you can do whatever you want with these. It's just a very simple way of doing it. There, so now I'm just patting it all down, making sure everything is stuck good. And I didn't even get glue on my fingers. Miracle. So now I've turned it over and I'm just checking to make sure that everything is in its proper place. Like I have the overlap on the edges that I wanted, and now I'm just going to be taking the scissors and snipping off the little edges that are overlapping. And I know I'm off camera on this, but I just wanted to make sure. And since this stuff tends to be kind of fuzzy and it also will unravel, you'll see me, I'm just trimming up little bits I see sticking out on the edges. So there, that's basically it, my little bitty bath mat that's going to go in front of Grandma's bathtub. and it took me just a matter of seconds, probably not even 3 minutes maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's still just making sure that everything is pushed down nice and firm, that everything's sticking. And I've seen a couple more little fuzzy edges that I want to take off now that the glue has set more, and I know that they won't fray out if I cut them. So there it is, and I'm bringing it up to show you. It's got this little staggered brickwork pattern, and now I am reaching up into the bathroom to put the little rug in there, and I'm gonna take you up there now so you can see how it looks. And I realize at this angle that you can see that it's in there in front of the bathtub, but you really can't see the rug itself. So hang on, bumpy ride. I'm just moving the whole tripod just to get you up there so you can actually see the little bath mat there on the floor in front of the tub. So Grandma will have a nice spot to step out, nice soft fuzzy spot to step out on when she gets out of her bath. Once again, I just wanted to show you the little rug. I think it turned out really, really cute. It is so super simple, and this is addictive. I could have went on making little rugs all day long. And so now I'm just putting the toilet back in because I knocked it out of there earlier. I'm complaining about how the seats on those toilets are just fitted into a hole and they don't fit tight, and the seat keeps falling off. I'll have to fix that. So anyway, that is pretty much our video for today. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. If it wouldn't be too much to ask, please hit like and subscribe because it really does help out the channel. You're all so wonderful for watching. Thank you so very, very much again. I hope that each and every one of you has a great day, and I think we'll be doing miniature makes every Thursday. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.